I didn't have the backup of a partner with a job who could pay me or a pension coming in or something else. I either sold those course payments or I didn't eat, and it was as basic as that. And here's the crazy thing. I went from a 10K launch to the next launch over 30K in online sales. And the reason I was able to make that jump wasn't because anything changed in a material sense. It was more the... Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, I'm going to tell you the truth of what it took me to hit my first six-figure year and what my first 10K launch looked and felt like. And then I want to break down some of the mindset shifts that I had to go through and some of the skills I had to develop and the way things had to change for me in order to get those results. And my honest reason for sharing this episode is for the people who are probably at 7, 8, 10, 15, 20K in sales. They've never broken through to that 30, 40K year in online sales, and yet they still have a dream of six figures. But at this point, you might be asking yourself, is it worth it? Will I ever make it? If that is how you are feeling, I made this episode for you. Okay, my journey in business has been mad, it's been wild. If you know me, you know that I don't come from any kind of business background. I didn't even know business was a thing. If I'd have known you could study business at university, I would have done it. But my awareness didn't even hold the idea that you could study business and be an entrepreneur. So when I left uni, I went off to work. I went onto these corporate graduate schemes down in London, and my eyes were open to meetings and agendas and these professional women in suits and their stilettos. And it was I'd never seen anything like it. It makes me sound really naive, but I come from a really normal background where when I was growing up, the kind of jobs that people had around me were military, taxi drivers, cleaners. I guess the closest thing to entrepreneurship that I've seen is my mum now sells houses. So she works in a company, she sells houses, and she's an amazing salesperson. But I didn't get the benefit of that as a child growing up, or any of the education of business or selling. It didn't even occur to me that that was a valuable skill. I cannot stress this enough. So I feel like everything that I've learned about business, marketing, selling, I've learned from books, I've learned from courses, and more than anything, I've learned from leaning in and posting stuff and basically failing. And that's how I got off the ground in business in the first place. I built a marketing agency and a recruitment agency totally by fluke, by just guessing what it would take, and by leaning in to this one question. The question I always asked myself was, what do people want? What do they need? What do they want? And how can I give it to them? And then I always underpriced. Honestly, I always underpriced. That's a different conversation. That's a question of my personal worth and my personal belief. But people always said to me, this is a steal, Lisa, bargain, brilliant. Yeah, let's sign you up. Yeah, let's have another year with you. Because I don't think I fully believed in the skill set that I had. But one thing I had going for me was that I was so hungry and so gritty, and I read all the books on business, management, law of attraction, manifestation, sales, entrepreneurship, anything I saw anybody talk about, anyone who was successful. If they mentioned a book or there was a book on their desk in their video, I literally ordered it and I read it. So we're talking things like the 4-Hour Work Week in the beginning, the E-Myth, the Alchemist, the Power of Now. All of these books I just consumed. And the funny thing is, some of the books I bought and I put on my bookshelf, and I didn't have the awareness to take in what they were about because they were levels beyond me. And as I went on my journey, I'd go back to my bookshelf and pick up some of the books I just couldn't connect with. And it's almost like I got up a level in my awareness and up a level in my capacity, and all of a sudden the ideas landed. But I would say that's been a backbone for me, that I've been so hungry. And I didn't just guess when I was building my online business. Like, yes, I went out and I tried and I did things, but I always learned and read and consumed content and ideas from other people. And I think one of the game changers for me in business was, other than going out and putting offers together and pitching and going networking and being gritty, I think the other thing was just having the courage to invest in an online course. And the first course I ever invested in properly was well over $1,000. And it was such a huge sum of money. It was crazy to make that payment. I definitely would have paid monthly for it. And since then, I've gone on to pay 5K for courses, 10K for 3 sessions of coaching. Wild money, because now I realize if somebody is there, they know, and I can just pick their brains and ask them, what's the map? What's the process? What can you see in me as a block? Like, what did it take for you to get there? and they'll tell me what matters and what doesn't, and then I have to go on that journey. Just because they tell me the answer doesn't mean I'm capable of walking the path. That's a whole other thing. So we're going to get into all of this, but before we get into the detail of the traits and what it really took of me, I just want to tell you how I got up to my first 6 figures, what my first 10K launch looked like, and how things jumped from then. So I didn't have my first 10K launch in my online business until I think it was about my 7th launch. I feel like it might have been more, but it was about my 7th launch. And what had happened was I was putting these courses together, and I'm just going to tell you this in case you're at this level. In the beginning, I had no ideas of my own. I had no clue what I was doing, but I did have a dream of building an online business, of teaching people how to change their lives, of writing a book. And I tried writing books twice before. I'd written tens of thousands of words, and they were just no good. They were just so boring. They were just no good. When I finally did write my book, looking back, I realized it was an amalgamation of all of the content that I tried, but I had an angle then, and I had real life experience then, and that's what made it pop. And it was the same with the courses I made. In the beginning, I didn't have my own ideas, my own methodology, my own thought leadership. So I had this idea of just curating other people's wonderful ideas. So I would talk about the books I read, the questions that had changed my life. I'd put these worksheets together on PowerPoint, literally save them as a PDF. And when someone joined the courses that I sold, I would email them a link. And on this link would be the YouTube video unlisted, so it wasn't public. I would email them one by one and say, thanks so much for joining the course. Here's video 1. And I would attach to that email individually the PDF that went with it. So I'd share some ideas about setting a vision and how you change your life. And I'd say, if you open up the PDF, the worksheet, print it off, fill it in. And then right in the beginning, something I did I think was really important was, even in the first course, I said, join me this Sunday. We're going to do a 2-hour live, and we're going to go through this content and see what you've come up with. And I'm going to share with you the biggest ideas that have changed my life. Doing the live was really special because I think you can sit in a dark room and film your content and come up with these wonderful ideas, but it's not until you really engage with the audience, engage with your customers, that you feel what lands. And being able to sit on a call with people and say, open the chat box. What do you think to that? What questions have you got? What are you struggling with? You don't need to guess. Your community, your clients, Google, reviews on Amazon Books, things like that, they'll actually tell you what people want and what they're searching for. So I was really tuned in to people, and I kept asking myself, what do they want? What can I give them? And crucially, what do I have the capacity to deliver? So I always had a dream of delivering beyond what I was capable of, and I still have that dream, but you can only deliver what you're capable of delivering now. And if you wait until you're better, it's too late. Because when you get better, your dream will have evolved anyway. So if there's one massive piece of advice I could give you, it is definitely to be a bit rough and ready and gritty and be launching and selling and delivering all of the time. So if you've got a dream of running an event with 100 people, honestly, can you start by getting 6 people around a table to go through your core ideas or do a vision board workshop? I would do things like that. Honestly, I would go to a coffee shop in Newcastle and say, can I rent this table for Sunday afternoon? I'm going to bring 10 entrepreneurs in, tell them to bring magazines, bits of paper, glue, and we would do live vision board sessions. And I think I probably charged $10 a ticket. I made no money. But you know what happened? I felt the discomfort of selling things, and I brought people together, and I built community, and I networked, and I learned, and I grew in understanding and knowledge and confidence, and I grew in the capacity to be able to handle the fear of not selling and the uncertainty of what I do on the day and the worry that people wouldn't turn up. They are rites of passage as an online entrepreneur. And tell me if you disagree in the comments, but I don't think it's a good idea to wait until your first big launch or your first big break to finally get out there in the world. I feel like that's impossible. I think you can be out there now doing whatever, however. It doesn't even have to be profitable in the beginning. It sounds crazy. Keep your job. Make money with the skills that you've got. Building an online business is a totally different set of skills, so get out there as much as you can to be delivering whatever you have the capacity to deliver now. So I would do this course online, 3 videos. I remember it was how to uncover your purpose, how to change your life, how to make a living, do what you love. I filmed the videos at midnight because I was so busy working for clients in this marketing agency that I'd shut down, but I kept a few clients to keep the lights on. Honestly, that's a whole nother story. And I would drive all over London, Manchester, Newcastle, working for these clients. And one day I came home and I thought, Lisa, if not now, when? You have no time to do this. So I filmed my first videos at midnight, uploaded them to YouTube, They were so basic, and I emailed them out to the people who bought. Okay, in this prep video, I want to share with you how to uncover your purpose. So what I'm going to do is share with you 5 key ideas for what it means to have a purpose, how to uncover it, and then I'm going to share with you 5 exercises for you to do, okay? The way I sold it was I'd been networking, I'd been posting on Facebook, I'd been doing little bits and pieces. I just emailed people individually. I said, hey, Amy, I've put this together. I wondered if you'd be interested. And the first course I launched was 3 videos. I think it was 3, some worksheets, this live on the Sunday, and it was £39. So I made a few £100, but it blew my mind because all of the marketing work, I was turning up in person. I was sitting down, grafting, building websites, writing copy. And it was so physical, and it was such an exchange of time for money. It was very difficult to scale. And when I sold 3 or 5 or however many it was places on this first version of the course, I sat back and I thought, oh, I get it. This is super scalable. Doesn't matter if I sell it to 10 people or 1,000 people, the work is still the same. So as soon as I sold it, I went again. 6 weeks later, guys, we had this amazing community. Here's the feedback. Here's what people have been saying. Now I had screenshots of the live. I had photographs of these worksheets that I'd made. I had screenshots of the videos. And you just build it bit by bit. Literally, I had nothing and I had everything. So I think that's part of the journey. It's building the resources and building the things that you can talk about. So then the next launch, I use these photographs and these clips and the feedback to go get another 5 clients and another 8 clients. And this time I think I put the price up to £99. Then the next launch, I was like, come on, again. And I didn't wait months, it was weeks, and I launched again, £199. And I remember putting the course up after a good 4 launches to £500, and I was really nervous about it. But at this point, because I was so focused on it, I'd driven to this location in Manchester, which was really inspiring for us, Media City with the water in the background. And I filmed these promo videos for the course, talking about what it was, had this real energy about it. I was so excited. It was changing my life. And I overlaid footage of the training that I was doing and maybe some of the worksheets that I'd made. And it really built and demonstrated and showed what I was doing. I want to say it created an impression of what I was doing. That is true. But it was also backed up by substance. Like we had actually run these workshops and this training, and I'd actually created those worksheets. Then at this point, I started investing in training. This little bit of money I was making, I bought a course that taught me how to build and run Facebook ads, and then everything changed. So I started putting these ads together, and I would spend £100, £200 running these ads. And I couldn't believe I actually got people to sign up to a mailing list. And then I emailed them a series of 6 emails with prep videos, just talking to them about my key ideas again, how to uncover your purpose, how to change your life. And this time when I launched the course, it wasn't 3 videos, it was 3 parts. And this time, I think by launch 5, 6, I had a workbook that went with it. And honestly, I don't know how I built that first workbook. It was so hard. But equally, I do, because I never sat down and made a workbook from scratch. It was worksheets, it was ideas, it was the delivery, and it just came together bit by bit by bit. I want to say organically in that sense, but then it took a big push of effort to turn it into something. And it wasn't even the effort of turning it into something. That was one thing. It was the audacity to think, how dare you put a workbook together, Lisa, and print it and send it to people? Who's even going to want this? Who do you think you are to do it? And I didn't even care. I thought if I end up with a stack of 30 workbooks in my office, as if I even had an office, if I end up with a stack of 30 workbooks piled up in the corner of that spare bedroom, I don't care, because I'm making something in the world and I'm trying. So then I think it was something like my 7th launch. I forget exactly, but I know that I launched. I did my first 10K launch, and a few things had to come together for that to work, which I'll come back to in a second. But let me tell you something that's kind of crazy. After my 10K launch, that was a real turning point for me. That was some serious money. Like at that point, I thought, oh, I got a bit of money in the bank there. 10K is a lot of money to make in a launch, yeah? But if you think how much it costs to live and to run, and you take Facebook ads out of there and you take the printing out of there, after a couple of months, that money was gone. It's not a huge amount of money. I mean, especially today, you have to make more or more consistently over the months in that kind of retainer payment plan fashion to keep it coming. So I thought, Lisa, you're going to have to go again. You're invested now. It's now or never. And at this point, I'd been letting go of the marketing contracts. and I was starting to rely on my own money. And it was such an amazing, terrifying time. If you're there, I know how it feels because I did it. I didn't have the backup of a partner with a job who could pay me or a pension coming in or something else. I either sold those course payments or I didn't eat, and it was as basic as that. And here's the crazy thing. I went from a 10K launch to the next launch over 30K in online sales. And the reason I was able to make that jump wasn't because anything changed in a material sense. It was more the compound effect of everything that I'd learned. There's no difference really between a 30K launch and a 10K launch, because if you can make 10K in online sales, you've got the value that somebody wants, you know your customer, you've got the product, you've delivered it. Scaling it up is about just being a bit bolder, reaching a few more people, sending a few more emails. And I'm going to break it down for you, but I just want to make the point that it took me a long time to get to my first 10K because I had so much to learn and so much to build. And I never built something and then just launched it again and launched it again and thought that'll do. I built it and I was like, that'll do for now, do it again. And I worked so hard, evenings, weekends, I slogged, reading, studying, going on courses, trying different things, more failed than worked. But when I hit that 10K, I thought, I know how to do this. I've got it. And the 30K was just a case of, they say rinse and repeat. It was just repeating that same process. So let's reflect and break down some of the things I had to learn and things that I would really encourage you to focus on, or tell you that if you are doing these things, it is right. Keep going, lean in. The first one is, if we think about it, it is to actually launch. And I want to be so clear on this. Do not sit and perfect your product on your own in a dark room with your laptop. It's not a good idea. The best thing you can do, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but the best thing you can do is actually go out into the world and just be useful. Just ask yourself, literally, number one, what have I got the credibility to sell right now? So what do I know? What can I do? What can I deliver on? What space can I hold that people know that I can deliver on, that I can sell now? That's the credibility bit. I can't sell how to build a 7-figure business. I don't have that credibility. I've done 7 figures in sales. I've never done a 7-figure year. And it's a funny thing for me to admit. It is a goal and I'm trying to figure that out. But I am so good at multiple 6-figure years and building online businesses and the mindset stuff and the money stuff that comes with it, content profile, smash that. So my credibility, I always think I could always go out and sell how to craft an offer, how to have your first 10K launch, how to film videos, how to put a sales page together. And if I ever needed to, I would just go run a masterclass or go put a course together on that. That's what I mean by what have I got the credibility to sell now? On the capacity side, you've got to think, what have I got the ability to deliver on? So if some of you are busy filming your course and putting it together or thinking about the big retreat you want to run, what's stopping you from putting on a day retreat at your local beach or inviting people? This sounds mad, do it safely. But we used to invite people into our homes for afternoon workshops, or I would book a coffee shop that I go to all the time. They knew me, they saw me, I was always there editing my little videos. And one day I said, this Sunday, could I book a table for like 8 people and put on an event? How much is it? 100 quid. All right, brilliant. So I'd pay 100 quid and I'd sell 10 tickets at £10. Who cares if I just broke even? It was a case of getting into the market and being seen to be selling and being seen to be useful. And then I basically had the attention of 10 people who wanted to change their lives. And I would chat to them. What are you stuck with? What have you done? Not as formally as that. It was a little bit more casual and human. Like, tell me, what have you tried so far? And question 45 on my 100-point questionnaire. It was never that. But being around people, you just can't guess what they need. You can by looking back at your journey a little bit, but you evolve so much you forget what you needed. Get in front of people, ask them, run webinars, run workshops, run live events. Who cares if it's 5 people, 10 people, 20 people? That's amazing. And if you can make a little bit of money doing it to fund the next stage of your journey, even better. But the crucial thing is, I never sat in isolation and waited years till I had the perfect course. If you look back on my journey, if you could look back at it as a timeline, you would see the biggest thing that underpins my success is I was always posting content, looking at what did well and what didn't, and I was always running things. This course, that workshop, that live event, that webinar, that download, I was always putting stuff out in the market to see what landed. And the more I could do live, the better. So one of the other things that really helped me on this journey was whenever I was selling these online courses, I never sold it and then sat and thought, oh, I wonder if it's going well and if they like it. I sold it and said, hey, do you want to get on a one-to-one call with me and go through the worksheet? I sold it and said, hey, let's get together on a call this Sunday, all of us, 8 a.m. I'll share with you the 3 biggest things that changed my life, and you can talk me through your answers and ask me some questions, see if I can help you. It was that live element that made me feel safer that it was working, that meant I could pivot right there in the moment to make it better, to fill a gap, to plug something that was missing. And it just gave me feedback about how I could make this better the next time. So I know there's a big thing about charging your worth and not over-delivering. I don't really believe in that in the early days. In the early days, I think get the feedback, get into the market, feel what it feels like to be in your course, and feel what it feels like to be your customer, because then you'll have all the information you need to make the thing better for your next launch. Okay, the next thing that was massive for me was learning how to get attention. The question that I would always ask myself, and I would always ask of clients, is who's listening to you right now? Who's paying attention to what you've got to say? And there's a few things in that. The first one is, are you leading with value? Are you sharing things that are useful for people where they're going to click and go, when I see this person pop up, they always share something that makes me think or makes me feel better. So yeah, I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to watch it again. That means they're invested in you as a mentor, as a leader, as a coach, as an inspirational content creator, as somebody who it is worth giving their time and energy and attention to. The other side of it is picking a platform and actually making the content. So I'm going to tell you something right now that you don't want to hear. Creating content is really hard and it takes ages, and there's no way around it. I mean, there is a way around it. You could just skip it and run ads or pay someone to help you run ads. But if you don't know who the customer is and what your thought leadership is and what content lands, what are you going to do with these ads? I think right now, especially in the beginning, you've got to think, I'm going to come out with a webinar. I'm going to come out with this event. The question is, who cares? Who's listening? Whose attention have I got? I think right in the beginning, you've got to think about building an audience and building a mailing list. So if you think, oh, only 100 people saw that video, that is wild. Do you know how hard it is to go and show something to 100 people in real life? If you're posting reels on Instagram or YouTube videos, or you've got a mailing list with a few hundred people on, they are individuals who said, you are relevant to me. You are useful to me. Thank you. Yes, please send me more of your stuff. I'm listening. For you not to send an email because you've got a small list, or not to post because you've only got a few hundred followers or only 50 people saw it, is so back to front, it's mad. So in the beginning, what I did, I'll just be really bold and tell you, I don't know why, but I got into making vlogs. Gary Vee, that's why. It was Gary Vee. I watched Gary Vee and he said, document, don't create. And because I didn't have anything to say in the beginning, I didn't have any ideas really to share, I just documented my journey of change. So I'd film me going on a run. I'd film me sitting down and I would do a time lapse of me journaling or writing course content at my desk, which was £15 from IKEA because I was literally skint. And I would make these videos and learn how to edit them and add the music. And I started putting out, this can sound mad, but I started putting out 3 or 4 vlogs every single week. These vlogs built such an immense community in where I lived at the time, a place called Tynemouth, that I would walk out in the street and people would loop round roundabouts and shout out the window or shout from across the street, Lisa, I love your content. And it created this amazing community where more and more people would tap in. So what I would do was make a video, upload it to Facebook, be about 6 or 7 minutes, and then I would go on Facebook ads and I would boost it to people in the Northeast who liked Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn or personal development. And I was just taking a total punt, £10, £20. I made the content and I thought, how could I just boost this into more of the people who are into what I'm into? And over the space of, 2-3 years, I built an audience on Facebook of over 6,000 people who were tuning into these videos and tuning into these vlogs, and it changed my life. But what I would do as I got better was I would take the videos and I would chop them up into little minis and I would start posting, I called them little minis, start posting these little minis as little clips on Instagram. So I was just on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And then I would take them and I would email them out to my list, which was growing because of the launches. I was running ads. I was getting people to opt in for these freebies. So then I was emailing it to 500 people, then 700 people, then 1,200 people. And I wasn't just selling and pushing things to people that way. I was posting value and content. And I think the lifestyle element of the vlogs really helped to build that trust and that relationship and that community. And I think even today, I'm still banking on and taking credit out of the work that I did in those early days to build that brand. So one half of me wants to say you have to pick. Make long format content like this and go deep and chop it up into minis, like make little reels from the long format. That's what I do. Or skip this because it's big and it's hard and it takes time and it takes a certain level of prep and forward planning, and just document your life on Instagram and make these 7-second aesthetic reels. You can choose either or. But what I will say is, in the beginning, I remember I was so busy, but I did still have time because I wasn't coaching all the time. I wasn't that successful. And I always thought I was busy, but I wasn't really that busy. So actually, it was just a bit of discipline to say, film the video of the day, edit it at night, and I would send it out in the morning. I will say that I was younger then, and I probably had a little bit more energy about me. I'm definitely 8 hours a night kind of gal now in terms of my sleep, but in the beginning I did it. Now I make these videos, I film 2 at a time every couple of weeks, but I go in and add all of the graphics and add the little slides and pull out the key parts. I pull out the little clips and I post them on social media, and I get instant feedback about what lands and what doesn't. So I'm still learning what lands at this greater level. But my whole point is to say, make content, build your profile. If you're going to launch a webinar or build a course, think, whose attention have I got? When I finish it, where am I going to post it and what do I think is going to happen? That's the community you want to build by sharing free and valuable content up front. So there's a few other things like learning how to sell, which was a journey, but it also wasn't hard for me because I led so heavily with value and I focused so much on what the customer wanted. I never feel like I have to sell things. I just present them. It sounds funny saying it, but I just present the offer because I really spend time thinking, what does somebody want? What do they need? What do I have the credibility to sell? And I don't really care if I sell 100 or 10. I need to know what the sales are for that month or for that product so I can adjust and assess. So I'm going to do a whole video on how to sell, and I probably have done videos on how to sell. For this last one, I want to talk more about the mindset of showing up, the grit involved, the capacity, and the healing required for you to turn up and share your ideas with the world. So let's remember, we're talking about how to build this 6-figure business and what that journey looks like. I can't remember if in this edit or if in a previous edit, because I start these videos again all the time, if I said that in the beginning, I hit 6 figures in an online course and then honestly couldn't handle the success of it. I felt like an imposter. I couldn't figure out how I'd done it. I thought, little old me from Newcastle with no business experience, who am I to sell this? And after I hit something like, 180, 200K in sales, I took the whole thing down. I literally collapsed courses, deleted a website, got rid of a whole brand called Dare to Grow, and started the whole thing again. There was another reason for that, and it was about being in alignment with my purpose. I know that deep down, I want to write books, I want to stand on stages, and I want to help people change their lives. I also know that I'm good at business and marketing and selling. And so I thought, how can I build a brand that allows me to do that, but also sets me up for more of the things I want to do around these books and memoirs? And it sounds mad, but I know that's where I'm going to be in the next 5 years. So I built a website under my own brand, and I literally started again. The only thing I kept was I kept the Facebook page and I kept the mailing list. I started a new Instagram, new YouTube, and I went out more fully in truth, in honesty, in vulnerability, in integrity of what I believed in around following your purpose and doing the work to change your life, and how hard it was to really sell and build a business. The reason I'm saying this is because I think sometimes you reach a level of success and you're looking over the hill and you can see it and you feel it, but you can't hold that success in your body, and you take a bit of a fall. And you're saying, how did I mess it up? What went wrong? And you push again and over you go, and you look, that's what it looks like in that room. I want to be in that room with those people, but you don't feel worthy. So you break it, or you take your foot off the gas, or you don't have the capacity to maintain the level of energy that got you there in the first place, and you fall back. And I think on your journey to six figures, that is probably what it looks like, where you're going up and then you steady out, you go up and you go down, you go up and you go down. So if you've maybe had a really successful launch and the next one didn't work, or you've hit a certain result and you haven't been able to hit it again, you've got to ask yourself more about your belief system, your identity, the way you see yourself, and what healing work you might have to do. So I had to do loads of work on my confidence, on how I saw myself. I just saw myself, honestly, as a loser. That is so funny to say, but I had this subconscious belief that I was a loser and nobody cared. And I also had real issues with money where I didn't feel worthy of holding the money. And I thought that when I had money, my job was to give it away. So I'd give it away and then some. And I never had security in myself because I didn't feel that it was fair if I had money and other people were suffering, because I knew how hard it was to suffer. So I thought I can alleviate that pain. So in order for me to be sitting here today where I am today, it wasn't just a case of learn how to sell and learn how to market and, now I'm going to learn Facebook ads. I had to actually go to therapy to learn how to hold money and feel worthy. And the mantra that brought me to tears was so simple. The mantra was, it is safe for me to have money and make more money. Sounds crazy. I could not say those words. Just like in the beginning, when I was really going on this journey of sharing content for the first time and teaching people how to change their lives and to trust themselves and to follow their gut, I was on that journey as well. And I really think that you teach what you're going through all of the time. Whatever someone's teaching, it's probably what they're going through and what they're learning about right now. And one of the hardest things in the beginning, I'm thinking about when I had long hair, this is how long ago it was. One of the tasks that I read in a book, it might have been a book like The Magic, something like that. It said you had to look in the mirror and say, I love you. You had to look in the mirror and say to yourself, I love you. I could not do that. Now I could. I do love myself. I'm mint. But back then, I couldn't look in the mirror and say that. It was beyond me because I didn't love myself. I hated myself. I was ashamed of myself. I was embarrassed. I felt totally unlovable by anyone, by myself. And in order for things to change in my life, I had to fall in love with me. I had to fall in love with me and say, yeah, Lisa, do you know what? You've messed up. And maybe you're not where you want to be. And maybe you haven't got what you want to have in your life. But it doesn't mean that you're a failure or that deep down you're not worthy. I read so many books to be able to say that and to talk about that and to face it. And I remember the day I finally did look in the mirror and say, I love you, Lisa. It sounds so funny. But the day I looked in the mirror and said that, I burst into tears, like physical, uncontrollable, ugly, beautiful sobs. It was a breakthrough because it wasn't just the words, it was a shift in belief. To get to that moment, I had to do affirmations, I did healing work, I did meditation, I flew to LA and did the big Tony Robbins event. What else did I do? There were so many things that I did. I read all of the books, I did all of the CDs, all of the courses. Also, I could say, I love you, Lisa. You're pretty badass. So on the journey, I want you to know that yes, the skills you've got to build, and yes, you've got to go out and deliver stuff. Don't be ashamed or afraid of the healing that comes with it. And no, honestly, the whole reason we are here on this planet in the first place is to learn how to love ourselves and each other, and it's to acquire knowledge. If for some crazy reason you've decided that the catalyst for those two things is to build an online business where you go and teach what you know to the world, it isn't the be-all and end-all. That is just the vehicle you've chosen for the journey of self-love and self-growth and consciousness that we are all on. So please lean into the books, the courses, the mentors, the good stuff on TV. I don't mean Netflix and Sky and stuff like that. I mean YouTube. Get into people with the results. Get into communities of people doing this work, and don't just read and take in what they're telling you. Actually try some of the activities, like looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, and just see what comes up. But whatever comes up, it isn't to look at and say, yes, interesting, and walk away. What comes up when you go to sell, or you do a launch that doesn't work, or you post a bit of content, you feel imposter syndrome, that's the magic. That's where you go, thank you so much that I can see this difficulty or this block or this belief that is holding me back. And then you've got to ask the question, what do I do about this? Where do I go from here? How do I heal it? You've got to be able to sit with that energy, that discomfort, and say, this is it. This is the work. And that is a huge part of building an online business and getting to 6 figures. My thing was money and self-love, elements of imposter syndrome, Yours could be all of those. It could be one of them. It could be something completely different. It could be fears of abandonment. It could be fears of insecurity, fears of being seen, fear of failure, fear of success. You probably know what it is. And even if you don't, you're gonna find out. Don't be afraid when you see it. That is the path you've got to walk to the life that you want to live. And of course, I have made content on this. I'm going to link below some of the videos I've done on finding those blocks and doing the healing work and increasing your capacity. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, please hit subscribe, hit like, leave me a comment. It really helps me in this mission to reach more people with these ideas. And I will see you in the next episode.